Federal judges ordered the Trump administration to fully fund SNAP benefits for November by Friday. The ruling rejects the administration's earlier plan to only partially provide aid to 42 million Americans. The order follows urgent pleas from plaintiffs who emphasize the risk of hunger for millions, including children. Last week, Trump folks said it would not tap into a congressionally authorized $4.65 billion contingency fund designed to keep SNAP fully funded during emergencies. However, the judge ruled that this refusal poses an immediate threat to food insecurity for vulnerable families. Meanwhile, we're on day 37, the longest government shutdown in American history. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says Republicans are waiting on Democrats to respond to a proposal that includes 3 full-year funding bills and a promise to reconsider health care subsidies. A promise to reconsider. Yet Senate Democrats are meeting probably to decide their next steps. House Speaker Mike Johnson remains noncommittal on a vote for health care subsidies. Fooling concerns the stalemate could continue for longer. They also are trying to play a game because, see, Democrats are like, wait a minute, why should we cut a deal if y'all going to then turn around and ignore the deal? Here's House Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries.
This is day 37 of the Trump Republican shutdown. And the position of House Democrats remains the same. We will not support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. We're ready, we're willing, we're able to sit down with our Republican colleagues anytime, any place, in order to reopen the government, to find a bipartisan path forward, and to decisively address the Republican health care crisis that continues to crush people all across the country. Tens of millions of Americans who are in the open enrollment period right now are seeing their premiums, copays, and deductibles skyrocket, in some cases, by $1,000 or $2,000 per month. That is unsustainable, particularly in this country right now, which is experiencing an affordability crisis. Life has gotten more expensive under Donald Trump and Republican policies. This is from a group of people led by Donald Trump who promised that costs were going to go down on day one. Costs haven't gone down in America. Costs are through the roof. Housing costs are up. Grocery costs are up. Child care costs are up. Electricity bills are skyrocketing. And now, because of the Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, health care premiums are going to drive some people into medical bankruptcy, and tens of millions of folks won't be able to provide a doctor when they need one. That's why we have to decisively address the Republican health care crisis. And that's why we need Donald Trump to show some leadership. Stop hiding. Show some leadership. Direct Mike Johnson and John Thune, both of whom work for you. Donald Trump is the puppet master of congressional Republicans. Show some leadership. Direct them to sit down so we can authentically enter into a bipartisan negotiation and end this Republican madness now.
Reecie, very simple. Democrats cannot and should not give in, force Republicans to cede to their demands. Don't fall for the promise to consider subsidies. No, make it happen.
Well, to borrow from our alphabet gang friends, cut the check. Do not allow Republicans to give you absolutely nothing when Republicans just got their ass kicked on Tuesday, because Americans are sick of Republican shit. They are sick of MAGA. They are sick of Mike Johnson. They're sick of John Thune. They are sick of Donald Trump. A potato sack could have won half of these elections if they had a D next to their name as opposed to an R. We cannot trust the Republicans to negotiate. Of course, they want a 3-year funding deal to get so that Democrats never have another chance to have leverage unless the levers turn over to a Democratic majority. Here's the thing. What Republicans are doing right now is they are trying to maximize pain, maximize cruelty, and maximize the harm that they are inflicting on the American people. The reason why our reality TV transportation secretary is cutting 10% of flights, starting 4% tomorrow and 10% by the end of the week, is because they want to make shit miserable for people. They want people to get to these airports and play Kristi Noem's propagandist video and blame Democrats for the fact that their flights are being canceled, when the fact of the matter is that Sean Duffy doesn't know what the hell he's doing. They've already attacked FAA air traffic controllers as soon as they got in office, and we've had multiple plane crashes on their watch. Donald Trump is withholding it, admitted as much, and the judge smacked him down for admitting that he wants to starve people and use these people's starvation and their inability to put food on the table as the equivalent of a gun to Democrats' head. He wants to extort the votes from Democrats, and Democrats should not fold. The reality is either cancel the fucking filibuster, Republicans, and use your own votes because you're in the majority in the Senate, you're in the majority in the House, and you have the White House, and open up the damn government yourself, or you get the votes that you need from Democrats by negotiating. Mike Johnson, call your little bitches back to Congress. You're going to have the Epstein files released. Get over it. Swear in the lady from Arizona and open up the government. Do your jobs, period.
Nola?
1,000%, you know, and everything that is happening, that everything that we're seeing, things that I'm hearing from people that are, you know, working still at these agencies, although very, none of them are really functioning at capacity, is, you know, these secretaries, they won't go out and they won't say it, but they are catching hell back at their agencies, especially when we're talking about an agency like the FAA, because we're talking about lives, right? And I'm just now seeing that because USAID was shut down, now we are looking at close to 600,000 deaths worldwide. The bodies are adding up, and the bodies are going to continue to add up when children aren't able to get their SNAP benefits, because 34% of children are on SNAP benefits. Children. So yes, you know, I place definitely a lot of blame at the feet of the Republicans. But the one thing that I do want to say about the Democrats is that, you know, they are holding together. That is not an easy thing to do. But I am interested in what an exit strategy looks like, because real people are being affected and impacted. And, you know, as someone who has friends and colleagues who still work in these agencies, who don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or the next week, they don't know if they're going to get back pay. This is very serious and has consequences for people's everyday lives.
But here's the thing here, Greg. The reality is people are being hurt across the board. They're being hurt when they cut SNAP benefits. They're being hurt with lack of health care. They're being hurt with healthcare premiums increasing. Not only that, you got members of Congress. I saw a tweet earlier from Congressman Emmanuel Cleaver, who said, first of all, back pay is literally the law of the land. Now, granted, you can have where Trump may think he can do whatever hell he wants to, but then you're going to have to run up against the actual law when it comes to this whole issue. And so that's the right. This is give me 1 second. This right here is the tweet from him. Federal workers are entitled to back pay following a government shutdown. Any attempt to withhold this pay from federal workers would be illegal and morally reprehensible. But here's the piece. If you do not use the leverage that you have, then you cannot gain any changes, especially with Republicans controlling the House, controlling the Senate, controlling the White House. This is how you have to use your leverage, influence, and power.
It's very true, Roland. And we talked about this again. We talked about it on Tuesday night. There had already begun a trickle of reporting that some quote-unquote moderate Democrats and moderate Republican senators were caucusing together quietly, trying to figure out the outline of a deal. And that the quote-unquote liberal or progressive senators were apoplectic, were furious. Well, that calculus changed Tuesday night, as we're talking about, when you saw this wave of people saying that's enough. It put, at least temporarily, enough steel in the spines of the so-called moderate Democrats in the Senate that they backed out now, apparently, as the reporting goes, from considering some kind of talks for a deal. And as far as the Republicans go, I embrace them because this is the last play they have left. The Republican Party is on the verge of death and collapse. The commercial news, entertainment, mass media has to continue to promote this idea that all the Democrats are in disarray, circular firing squad, because they're trying to sell ads and sell newspapers and draw eyeballs. But the reality is that the party that is in trouble in this country is the white nationalist party, because they're on the verge of collapse. They don't have another card. So when you read Judge McConnell's order today, and he was furious, he read from the bench before issuing it in writing. He said, I told y'all earlier, you've got to release this. And then you come back and say that you're trying, or the Agriculture Department has more new rules. And then watch this. This is crazy, because one of the officials in the government said that they have been complying with the order. So now what the Republicans are doing right now is just straight lying. The master of it, of course, is the MAGA Muppet, Mike Johnson. He just gets on stage, and whatever it is, he says the opposite. The person behind this, the puppet master, if there's one person you can put this on, is that little nasty piece of work, that gnarled human soul, Russell Vogt, at the Office of Management and Budget. Because Vogt understands something, if he doesn't understand anything else. I can just get to the point where I just tie it up in administrative functions. Agriculture said we got new regs and it's going to slow it down. And when all else fails, I'll just ignore the courts. They've already said today they're going to appeal this. But here's where the calculus is going to ultimately break their back if the Democrats can stick together, as we've said. All you got to do is put people in so much pain that, like anything else that is unbearable, they move to remove the source of the pain. The sources of pain is Republicans. They're out of places to hide. And when they just go to the straight open divided court and straight lie, you know that their desperation has brought you almost to the brink of victory if you can just hold the line a little bit longer.